I'm going to talk about how to recruit a good team to your startup. And maybe you were here 3 hours ago when Christian was talking about some of the things that VCs look at when they meet your team. And I don't know how many times people have mentioned this here within those 2 days, that you need to have a good team. And I talked to one of the girls from Lithuania here, and she said, everybody says you need to find a great team, but how do I find a great team? Because I'm just a student myself. All I really have is like a good idea that I think is a good idea. So the reason why I was invited here is because for the last 11 years, pretty much all I've done is recruit and headhunt. I have an experience in human resources from one of the biggest direct sales companies in the United States, and also from the biggest real estate agency in Estonia. And I even teach HR in Estonian University. I'm also an entrepreneur, just like you are, aspiring ones. I have 3 businesses, 2 of which are nice, normal, old world companies that make nice profit. One of them is a tour operator, where I employ about 30 enthusiastic and awesome tour guides and take about 20,000 people to different tours and day trips. The second one publishes city guides, just regular paper-based city guides, city maps. And my startup is trying to do the same thing online, to build a website where you can find out the best local tips. It's only seed funded, so I'm just like you, a very beginner startupper, but that's not the reason why I'm here today. I'm here because I have spent 10,000 hours interviewing people, and I can pretty much say what makes someone successful at a job and what not. There's 2 problems when you're trying to find team members or co-founders to your startup. One of them is that you probably don't have much money. You don't have money to throw a huge campaign to look for someone, and you also don't have much money to promise them a huge salary. So you have 2 problems within that one problem. And the second problem is that you probably have no skills. The most recruiting or convincing that most of us have done is trying to get our boyfriend to take out the garbage. So that's pretty much all the recruiting that most of you have done. So you're asking, like, how can I find good team when in big companies there's a whole department that is looking for people? Well, I have one very simple formula for you, that actually the reason why Google or Skype or any other big company gets good employees is not because only good people go and apply for a job there. It's because more candidates go in to find the best ones. So what you want to do if you're a startup is that you also want to try and get as much publicity or as big of a coverage as you can to make a lot of people come in so you could pick out the good ones. So one of the things that you can do is that get people talking about you. And if you're building a product or a service, you have to do that anyway. You have to get tech blogs write about you. You have to get people interviewing you from different sites. You have to get publicity anyway. But also get people talking about your recruiting, or that you're looking for a co-founder or you're looking for a team member. Just half a year ago, we were looking for a Python developer. And we also couldn't afford to throw a huge recruiting campaign. So something that we did is that we put together this fun ad, which went completely viral in Estonia. Because everyone who saw that thought, oh my God, Python developer, Python, sexy, naked woman. You might not recognize me with my clothes on. That's actually my face. But it went viral in Estonia, and now we have a really good CTO in our team. So get people talking about you. What are some of the things that people will share? You have to surprise or shock. You have to entertain. The funnier you can make your ad, the funnier you can make the invitation to come and join your team, the better. You might also want to be on the verge of bad taste. Because things that really go viral, they're sometimes flirting with the edge of bad taste. So try and find something that clicks with people. And you might want to connect with what people believe. So whatever it is that you're fighting for, or what your idea is, you might want to communicate that, because if people connect with that, they're going to share that you're looking for a teammate. The second really important advice that I have is that you have to learn to sell yourself. And referring back to the panel that just ended here and the comments about yesterday's pitch competition, sales and ability to sell is probably the single most important skill that you ever have to learn in your life. It doesn't matter whether it's to sell your product, to sell yourself to the VCs. It's also to sell yourself to people you are wanting to get to your team. Because if they don't like you and they don't believe in you, they're also not going to come. Just a few months ago, somebody sent me this ad. A startup, I think it was a Latvian or Lithuanian startup, looking for the first team member in Estonia to deal with the Estonian market. And so one of my acquaintances passed this on to me, asking whether I know anyone that fits. And I just read through it, and I'm like, I don't think I want to share it with any single person. What do you think is wrong with this?
Boring.
It's hugely boring. What else? What else is wrong with this? It only talks about what they want from you. They want you to not tweet stupid things. You see that? Not waste time on Twitter. So they want all kinds of things from you, but the only thing that they really offer you is the opportunity to be the first one in a completely unknown company. Great. Awesome. Where do I sign up? So this is not particularly selling yourself. So you have to think about what is in it for the people you want to your team. And considering that we had no money, that might be a little bit difficult. But a few ideas. Think about what is it that makes people quit a nicely paying job and go do something else. One of the things might be culture and values. So they might want to have a more fun workplace. They want to have more freedom. They want to have a cooler lifestyle. But be careful, because you might attract people who think that being in a startup is all about eating pizza and playing foosball. So you don't want those people. Think about it. Are they in it just because they want to slack off, or because they actually want to build a great product with having a nice liberal workplace where you can bring a dog, or where you have pancakes on Fridays? What do they want more? That, or just like slacking off? Second thing you might want to sell to them is having more responsibility and ownership in the company. Because if you have a corporate job, you can really only do so much. Nobody's going to give you all the responsibility that you think you could carry. You always have to fight for it. You have to fight your way up to the corporate ladder. But if you start something from scratch, you can feel that a big part of it is your own. You can really feel that you're building something yourself. And people who have always had a normal job, they might not right away understand that they could have a lot more responsibility. So you have to learn how to sell it. You have to explain it to them. You could also sell them the possibility to develop different skills. Not only what their job is about, but everything. Because when you're in a startup, you do everything. You are your own secretary, customer service, even the cleaner. You do everything. So sell that to them, that they don't have to only do their own job, but they can really develop a different range of skills. And, of course, the future vision. Because if they believe in you, they believe in your idea, there is a good chance that there's, in the future, sometime, also financial luck. The third advice that I have for you is hire for attitude. And this seems so trivial, but everybody tells you to hire people with great skills. Everybody tells you to find the best people. And so you hire them for skills, you end up firing them for attitude. There's a ton of studies done on why people are fired, and more than 80% are fired because of behavior or attitude. Nobody really gets fired for not knowing how to do something, because you can learn. Shitty attitude towards work is something that is a lot harder to change. It's not impossible, but it takes forever. So if you meet somebody like that, you know that you could not possibly do anything together with them just because they're so obnoxious or so negative or so annoying, but they're a great programmer or a really successful sales guy, but they're like the most horrible person to work with. Don't hire them. Even if you're desperate for someone, don't hire them, because it's going to end bad. And my fourth advice to you is interview for action. What does that mean? A human being makes mistakes. So if you meet somebody and you're talking with them about working for your startup or doing something together or founding a startup together, then you are only human. And human perception is faulted. So for example, simple statistics, female interviewers are more likely to give higher scores to anyone who looks good. So automatically they'll think, if you're a good-looking, nice person, I think you're also good at the job. So human perception is faulted. You should ask yourself, can they really do what I want them to do? And more importantly, will they do it? In human resources, there is a term called behavioral event interview. In Estonian, it's called focused interview. But what it really does is that you ask questions about what a person has done previously. And this doesn't mean only skills. It also means like soft skills. For example, if you're looking for somebody who needs to sell your product, then you might want to also ask not only about sales skills, but you also might want to ask about things like being able to work under pressure, or being able to take rejection and coping when it doesn't work out in the beginning. So there's all kinds of soft skills that go with it. And what you should do when you're interviewing people is not look at the CV, not look at the awesome company that they worked for and all the achievements that they have listed, but you should ask them questions that begin like that. Can you give me an example on a situation where you did this? And what people will answer is that, well, I do this all the time. You might ask somebody, can you give me an example on where you had a really tough time and you still went on? And they'd go, oh, but I always do that. I never give up. I'm very persistent. That is not the answer you're looking for. You want them to give you specific stories, specific examples. You want them to describe what exactly did they do. So what you need to ask from yourself is that what are the qualities, skills, capabilities that I want in someone that's supposed to work for me? Whether you're looking for someone for sales, for marketing, maybe you're looking for programmers, maybe you're looking for a business or a technical co-founder, what are the things, the skills, capabilities, attitudes that you want? And then ask accordingly. Ask them where they have done so. If they cannot give you a story, if they cannot give you an example, if they give you an opposite example, then they probably will not do it also in your team. And recognize people who have learned to speak really well about what they've done. These are the people who make you feel uncomfortable because you think that, oh my God, they've done so much, or they know it all. These are usually the people who have the least persistence, and they will probably quit very soon, and they will quit as soon as something is really difficult. So recognize people who just go on and on about what they've done. Somebody mentioned, I think it was also Christian, who was talking about what VCs look for in a team. He talked about the perfect balance between being confident and being humble. You don't want overly confident and arrogant people in your team. You want somebody who knows what they can do and will say so, but is also humble enough to say that this I don't know well yet, but I really want to learn. I hope these 4 things have been useful to you. And this is where I'm going to finish. If you need any help in finding good people, ideas, you want to brainstorm together with someone how to find good people, then you're welcome to keep in touch with me. And I think we also have some time for questions, because I speak way faster than I plan. Thank you. So if I could ask one question from somebody, then almost in any situation, it would be about persistence. And this, like self-discipline and persistence, is something that is relevant in almost any field. So one of the things that I would always ask about in any interview or any meeting is that give me an example on a situation where it was really, really hard for you. It doesn't matter what it is. Because, for example, if I would talk about graduating with honors, that was not difficult for me. So I didn't work hard. But something that was really, really hard for that person and what they did then. That's the one thing that I would always ask. Any other questions?
So how many candidates did you get with that Python?
Actually, the funny thing is that we got a lot of candidates, but eventually we ended up recruiting somebody who had used our app and who approached me himself asking, I really want to work for you because for the first time I could develop something that I have used myself and I understand, rather than building something that is very complex and I wouldn't use myself. So we didn't find a person through that particular ad, but we got a lot of candidates.